Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Today. So today we are joined by a very special guest. We do, on Sports Today we do some motorsport F1 coverage, and now today we're joined by someone who's of course, making the Indian national flag rather proud on the global motorsport circuit. I'm of course talking about Kush Maini, currently an F2 driver. Kush, thank you so much for joining us for this interaction.
No, thank you for having me, Shane. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine, trust me. So, it's your first season in F2, correct me if I'm wrong. And it's been a fairly steady start for you, let's say. I mean, do you think it's been over and above expectations, or is this about what you were expecting? Because obviously, making the step up from F3 to F2 can sometimes be a little daunting.
Yeah, I think obviously last year, my first year in F2 was a good year to get into it. And getting that podium and finishing close to the top 10 in the championship was very positive. This year, obviously, we went in with expectations to fight for the championship. In the first few races, we got a pole, we got two podiums. We were consistently one of the quickest cars on track, which was very positive. And Alpine, my team, and Invicta, my team, were really happy with the performance. Last two races haven't been amazing due to a few things out of our control, but we found out what it was, and changes are being made for Barcelona the next race, and I'm sure we'll be back to where we should be.
Yeah, so you were talking about, debut year, obviously top 10, that's in itself pretty good. This year, you're looking there and thereabouts for the top five, potentially competing for the championship. And obviously, when you're racing in the Junior Series at 3 F2, there's always a target that, listen, you need to be at F1 by this time. Is there some sort of a target or a roadmap you have in mind, or is it more a case of let's take every race, see how it goes, and then once we get the championship, then obviously, that will potentially open a lot of doors?
The target, I think, is quite clear to do as well as I can this year. Every race, obviously, I'm very motivated to be back to where we should be after the last two weekends that didn't really go our way. So there is, a lot of expectation this year, but I feel we've delivered every time we've had the chance to, and the last two races have been a bit unfortunate, and we haven't had the chance to show what we're capable of. Obviously, ending this year on a high would strengthen my chances to make it to Formula One next year. But I'm not even thinking about that. I know that without performing in F2, there's no talk of F1. So that's my only goal.
Yeah, and obviously, I think you were mentioning Alpine. Obviously, they're one of those teams that in recent times have had a bit of a track record of getting in a few younger drivers. Jack Doohan is going to be doing free practice one sessions for the team in Canada this weekend. Obviously, there's a vacancy in Alpine. You had an Esteban Ocon confirmed that he's not going to be there with the team. Someone like an Oscar Piastri has also come through the Alpine ranks, done well and doing rather well in McLaren now. Do you think the support system you got in place has been beneficial considering you're racing with Alpine? Then of course in F2, has it been, let's see, beneficial in that regard?
Very beneficial. They're keeping an eye on me. They have team personnel on track to help me with anything I'm struggling with. And without them, we wouldn't have figured out as quick what was going wrong in these last two weekends. So they're a massive help, and they really believe in me, and they really do treat me like a prospect in the future for Formula One, which is the most important thing. Obviously, finishing this test in Formula One was an amazing achievement for me and my career, and them helping me through that and teaching me so much that day is priceless. And to have Alpine is something I take massive honor, and I think it's helping me so much this year.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned, you were talking about testing. You did complete some testing this weekend as well. How is the step up? Because again, one common refrain that we've heard from a lot of drivers when they step from F2 to F1 is, oh, okay, so there's a lot more speed to unlock in these cars. In fact, we heard it from someone who you're competing against as well, in Ollie Behrman, when he had to step into the Ferrari car in Saudi Arabia. He said, "Man, I've done reserve driving and stuff like that, but the amount of speed you have to unlock is unreal." Just talk us through that process if you can.
Yeah, sure. F1 is just another world. Driving it, I didn't want to get out of the car. It's just an unbelievable experience. And it's such a well engineered car that in some ways it's a lot easier to drive than F2, like to get quick. obviously in any car, it's tough to find the last few tenths, but the amount of speeds and G forces you're taking through these corners is unreal. And I just couldn't believe, that I was driving one of the quickest cars in this world, in the pinnacle of our sport. It's something I dreamed of since I was 7 years old, and to finally achieve a bit of that dream just motivates me even more to make it there one day.
Absolutely. Just a couple more questions. Obviously, you come from a family that has a rich history in motorsport. Your own brother is currently racing in Formula E, correct me if I'm wrong. He's, of course, also done test
Yeah.
driving duties for Haas and the likes. Is there any advice you've taken from him or any sort of tips? Because again, motorsport can be a pretty cutthroat world.
Yeah, Arjun is actually doing DTM at the minute, but the Haas thing is correct. He was a development driver in Haas, and it's very fortunate for me to have a brother doing in the same sport, because you sort of learn from his experiences, and he's sort of the guinea pig in some ways, and that paved the way for me and helped me. I speak to him so often. Anytime I'm struggling on track, or if I'm having a tough day, he's one of the first people I call. He's in my support system very deeply, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am without him. So it's a massive, massive help to have someone like him.
Speaking of course, sports systems, I think it's been well publicized that you also got a very nice mentor in former two-time F1 world champion Mika Hakkinen. Talk us through how that works. Because again, this is someone who not only has been a multi-time F1 champion, he came back from a rather bad accident, and is someone who has mentored careers. For instance, Valtteri Bottas has mentioned a lot of positive things about the impact that Hakkinen has. How exactly is it working with him? What exactly does he work on with you? Can you shed some light on that?
Sure. It's I'm actually speaking to him tomorrow. But it's sort of like just a touch base. He's there on most weekends, and we talk. And it's something like after a bad weekend like these 2 weekends, it's as a racing driver, it's very tough for your self-confidence. And speaking to Mika and understanding that it was out of our control, and him sort of still having that confidence in me, and that's something that's huge coming from my childhood hero. He's basically the guy who structured my whole team on track, my physio. He has a look on all my training, and sees and always has his thoughts, and his gives me advice. Not necessarily on the racing part, but everything, because he knows what it takes to be the best in the world. And just having someone who can shed some light on that is priceless.
Absolutely. One final question before I let you go. Obviously, India and motorsport hasn't exactly been one of the most, let's say, successful combinations. Sure, we've had drivers come through, but by and large, it's been, something that has taken time. Do you think there is something in the future that can be done at a grassroots level to change that? And if so, what exactly is there? But obviously, you've risen through, you'd understand the struggles.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. There just isn't it's so rare to have a kid in India going, I want to be a Formula One driver. You have cricket, you have different sports that are a lot more accessible for parents. And obviously you have your studies, but racing is sort of like almost like going to the moon. So obviously my first step is to make it in Formula One. That's my goal. Because once I make it, it's a lot easier for me to make changes to my country and hopefully inspire a new generation. And that is the goal for me. But I have to take it one step at a time, and focus on the present.
All right. Thank you so much, Kush, for joining us for this interview. And special thanks to everyone who's organized this. And for all those of you who are watching, you can watch Kush, of course, as he continues on his journey towards, the F2 championship, hopefully making it towards F1. Kush, thanks once again for taking out the time.
Thank you for having me, dude. It's been a pleasure. Cheers.